Hi, I'm Ken Pekrowski, a volunteer at the Mawa Museum. Welcome as we continue our celebration of Les Paul. We could not possibly celebrate Les's 105th birthday without our next guest, the great Lou Pallo, a really good friend of our museum. Lou played along with Les for about 30 years at Fat Tuesdays, the Iridium, and other venues. Lou is an extraordinary guitarist in his own right. He has performed with artists from Sammy Davis Jr., Nat King Cole, and Ella Fitzgerald to Keith Richards, who described Lou as an incredible guitar player and the man who knows a million chords. Joining Lou this afternoon is Les Paul Trio alum bassist Gary Masarapi and guitarist Vinny Raniolo. They will be playing tunes and sharing stories about Les. And joining me to help moderate this session will be Charlie Carreras, the Vice President of the Mawa Museum. Before we start, I'd like to point out that this program is also a fundraiser for the museum. You will find some donate buttons on the Les Paul and Mawa Museum Facebook pages, and also on the museum's homepage on the website, which would be mawamuseum.org. The museum is operated 100% by volunteers, so I hope you would consider donating some dollars. Your donation dollars will go towards funding future community programs such as this one, as well as upcoming exhibits. No donation is too small, and thank you for your support. So right now, I would like to turn it over to Lou Pallo. Welcome.
Okay, great. Okay, here we go. Great. are we doing there? Lou Pallo here. Gary Mazzaropi.
Hello.
And we have a lot of stories with Paul. In fact, going back to Fat Tuesday's days, before I started, what was the guitar player's name?
Wainwright.
Wainwright. Another great guitar player. Wainwright. Left-handed.
Yes, he was.
Left-handed guitar player. And then I came into Fat Tuesdays with Gary.
That was about 1984.
84.
84,
Right,
okay.
84. 1984. Long time. And of course, I was playing with Les before that. A lot of places in New Jersey we were doing. But so many stories, like I said, that we can go on and on and on. But happy birthday, Les, by the way. June 9th is his birthday. And I'd like to thank Muriel Anderson and Tom Fresh yesterday. Great performances by the two of them. And Tom, I know for a long time. Tom is some performer. He's an entertainer. My God, we did a recording session out in New Mexico, and God, how many years ago? Maybe 18 years ago, 17, 18 years ago. Great recording session we did out there, and we had a ball out there. But let's go back to Les Paul.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
Well, first of all, actually today we're coming to you from the Caso Pallo here in lovely downtown Haskell, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Which my GPS didn't really want to send me to for some reason. There's some kind of a weird little turn down there, and the car just didn't want to make it. But I finally found it. I'm parked safely in the driveway, this nice street. I don't know if you guys heard while we were playing, some kids went by on dirt bikes or something up on down the street. It was kind of loud in here. I don't know if you heard it or not, but it was a little bit distracting. So anyway, we're here on a very nice, cool day so far. It's not very hot out there, and we're enjoying ourselves here. And as far as Les stories go, you know, he was up until the very end very quick-witted. He wasn't the type of guy that you would want to, as I say, match wits with, because he was very sharp and he was very quick. An example of this would be one evening, a guitar player came in, and he always used to let, whoever wanted to sit in could basically sit in with us. So he let this guy sit in. He was from Europe, didn't speak any English, and had an acoustic guitar. So Les invites him up on stage. Guy sits down, they put a microphone in front of his guitar. And the fact that he couldn't speak English gave Les the perfect opportunity to kind of like make some jokes at his expense. Because Les was all about the audience, first of all, and entertaining the audience. And anything he could do to entertain the audience and at the same time get a laugh, he was all about that. So he was kind of making some jokes about the guy with the guitar, so nothing bad, just innocent little quips. So he finally says, "Okay, go ahead and play." And the guy starts playing, and this guy played like crazy. I mean, he was really good. I don't want to say he was a gypsy jazz guitarist, but he played in the style of Django Reinhardt. And he played it really, really well. And the audience was just like looking at this guy. And he was maybe about 24, 25, something like that. They're just looking at him with, almost like in amazement. And Les is sitting on his stool like he always did. And he's got his left hand on his left hip. And he's just got his head cocked to one side. And he's looking at this guy, looking at him, and he's watching him play intently, right? And there's no expression on his face, just watching him. The guy plays and plays and plays. When he's done playing, the audience bursts into like this wild round of applause. And Les still is like expressionless, doesn't say anything. He waits for the applause to die down. Now here's a true showman for you. Leans in the microphone and says, "Sure, wait till I'm 88 years old, then come over here and kick the shit out of me." The only time I saw him stumped in the 10 or 12 years, whatever it was one night at Fat Tuesdays. Henny Youngman came into the club. And it was maybe about 10 or 15 minutes before the show started, and we were all up on the stage anyway. And with the, Les had his guitar, I had the bass, and we were just getting ready. And Henny Youngman starts with the one-liners about 10 minutes before the show even starts. He's saying,
tuning.
Yeah. He's saying, Les, there's a bus leaving in 10 minutes. Be under it. And the audience starts laughing. Les, you never sounded better, and it's a damn shame. And the audience breaks up, and all the classic Henny Youngman lines. And Les just had no defense for Henny Youngman. Finally says to him, he says, okay, it's 10 minutes before we're supposed to start, but come on up anyway. And he invites him up on stage, and they had a nice little chat between the two of them and told some jokes back and forth. And that was really fun. That was the first time that I ever saw, and last time I ever saw Les stumped as far as one-upping anybody.
And everybody stopped in. You never knew who was in the audience. Never knew who was in the audience until that fall. From kids up to 90 years old, 100 years old. Okay, so anyway, before we do that, we're going to do something that Les's idol was Bing Crosby. Not as a guitarist, but he had idol guitarists like Django and so forth, but he idolized Bing Crosby. So one day, he got a call from Bing to do a recording. And of course, Les, wow, recorded with Bing Crosby. Goes into the studio and worked in with the trio, with his Les Paul trio. And Bing's there, and now they have a music sheet they put out. And it says, it's been a long, long time. And Les looked and says, I can't read music. And then Bing looked at it and says, I don't read music either. So there was a guy, a maintenance man on the ladder, putting light bulbs in the studio before the session. I could read it, and he went down from the ladder, got on the piano, and the song, this is the way it came out. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to try to sing a little bit, but I had surgery, so I'll try to sing the first part. Kiss me once and kiss me twice, kiss me once again, it's a long time. Having just like this night, says can't remember when. It's been a long, long time. You'll never know how many dreams I've felt. Just how empty they all seem without you. Kiss me once and kiss me twice. Kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time.
Hello, everybody. I'm Vinny Raniolo. I had the opportunity to get to know Les a little bit and to play a lot with Gary Mazzropi and Lou and a lot of other members from the Les Paul trio, like Frank Vignola and Nicky Parat and John Coriani, all the members of the trio that went through. I was just listening today to Les playing a live concert with Nat King Cole, and just the amazing ability that he had, not only as a recording artist, because you hear those recordings and you think, wow, that was really incredible what he was able to do. And Les actually explained to me how he did it, how he had to do the sound on sound technology, and he had to cut a hole in the ceiling to get all the tracks that he wanted, because those tracks were just so huge. He had to stack them on top of each other. And the first time that he got the gig with Bing Crosby, and how he took everybody, he packed up his whole family, his wife Mary, everybody. They got in the car in New York and drove to LA to record with Bing Crosby. So in the way that he got the recording contract was, he brought his band to New York. He told them that he had a gig, and they just went into the elevator of the office building of this music company, and they played for the head honcho, waited until he came into the elevator, and then played him a song. That's how they got the gig, how they got the record deal. So just amazing stories. It's very inspiring to hear how, how much drive that Les Paul had. And not only as an inventor, inventing the electric guitar, inventing multi-track recording, but as a recording artist, what he did to get his music heard was really incredible. So I'm really fortunate to be here talking about him today, and have had all the opportunities to hear the stories about him. I also heard that he was a big fan of the great Django Reinhardt. So I'm going to play a little nuage here. I'm recording from my home here in Queens, New York. It's quiet up here, up on the 11th floor, but yeah, it's kind of hot today. But I'm recording from my iPhone, so I hope the battery doesn't die. I just got a low battery signal, so if it stops in the middle of the song, I'm going to turn on my iPad and then I'll continue the rest of the song. Just like Les Paul used to do. When a member of the audience wanted to take a picture, he would stop the song and let the audience member take the picture, and then start right away right at that same spot that they ended at. So he was a big showman, like Gary said. So here we go. Here's a little nuage by the great Django Reinhardt. All right. Thank you very much. That was Nuage by the great Django Reinhardt, a good friend of Les Paul's. I actually heard that they were such good friends, and Les respected Django's musicianship so much. So this is just an example of how kind of a person that Les can be. After Django died, since he was what we call a gypsy, meaning that he didn't really have a home, he lived out of a caravan, he didn't really know the concept of money, but he was one of the most recorded jazz musicians in Europe. And that equaled to a lot of money from the record company that, Django would get the recording contracts and not know how to read and just sign his name, so he'd be signing away all the stuff. But Les, not only a great inventor, not only a great musician, but a great businessman. So he saw his friend Django getting taken advantage of. So after Django died and his family was left with nothing, Django went to the recording companies because he was such a good businessman and got the money for Django's wedding to give to his wife and to his family, and Najine, Django's wife, gave the guitar of Django Reinhardt's to Les Paul as a thank you gift for getting them all this money from the recording companies. And Les, you know what he did? He started drilling holes in it to try to put pickups in it. So I thought that was a pretty funny story. And then the great luthier John Monteleone out in Long Island, he was able to fix it after the top of the guitar caved in. So yeah, so many great stories about Les. So I'll give it back to Lou and Gary and whoever else wants to tell a story or a roast about Les Paul, because I'm sure that he was a really funny guy and he loved comedians and he loved joking around. So I'm sure there's a lot of funny stories out there.
Hey, Vinny, thank you. And the song we're going to play now, Les recorded across the street. Judy Garland was recording Over the Rainbow, and Les played this with his trio. In the beginning, recorded back across the street while I was recording over playing pop. And I'm trying to think of at the Iridium, a lot of people would stop in and I would say, Les let's say Olivia Newton-John was there, and I'd say, Olivia, he said, you announce it. I said, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Olivia Newton-John. People get up and they clap, and Les goes, bring him up. Bring him up. Les, it's Olivia Newton-John. I tried to whisper in his ear. He said he thought it was Elton John. Anyway, she came up and sang a number.
You know, one of the things about that too, Lou, is a lot of the people who would come up and sit in were, you know, fairly well-known people, but not necessarily within Les's scope of celebrities that he was aware of. They might be quite a bit younger than people that he was used to. And one of the things he used to do, and, you know, we're probably going to come up with a bunch of little things like this from time to time and just throw them out. But one of the things that he used to say was that he'd say, you know, the person would come up and, you know, it would be somebody who's well known to the majority of the audience, if not the whole audience. And he'd say to them, what do you do that makes you famous? You know, which is, you know, a little deflating for most personalities, I think. Yeah.
And there were a lot of big names. Buffett came in one day, and he came in and let's say bring him up. I brought him up, and he comes up and let's say, "What do you do?" I guess I'm a guitar player. And well, where you working? I'm opening up an act. I'm opening act at Madison Square Garden. Actually, he was the headliner because when he did. As soon as he did Margaritaville, then he got to him and said, wow, that's this guy, that's Brooklyn, you know? Yeah. He just didn't know the younger generation. Danny DeVito, I brought him up on stage, and Les said, what do you do? He said, I'm a comedian, I guess. And he never knew that he was an actor. He said, it's just strange.
Well, but he was really, I don't want to say insulting, but it was probably didn't sit too well with Danny DeVito's wife, Rhea Perlman, right?
Remember that?
Yeah, because he said I don't know if he said he didn't know her at all or whatever he said. It was, you know, and he could get away with a lot of the stuff just because of the way that he would say it, the way that he presented, and being kind of like an elder person, an elder statesman, if you will, and being very kind of like impish. You know, he'd say something that might be a bit of a twinge to it, and he'd put a little grin on his face, you know, then all of a sudden it was okay. You know?
Yeah.
But, you know, Lou, I think, now see if I'm wrong about this or see if you agree with me. I think one of the people who sat in that he felt closest to, or it seemed to be that he was warmest to, was Steve Miller.
Yes.
Did you? Yeah.
His godchild.
So he had a special connection with him.
Yes, he did. He did. But so many other guitar players stop in. Oh, like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, Thrash, Guns N' Roses, a whole bunch of them. Jimmy Page stopped in a few times down there. And
that's
oh yeah,
that's actually how I married my first wife. She came to Fat Tuesdays to meet Jimmy Page. And instead, she ended up with me. Yeah.
Jimmy Page, Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh.
Right down there.
The guy from Queen, Brian May.
Brian May. Yeah. Oh, he was a ball when we went in Spain.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
And we went out drinking with Joe Walsh, and Joe Walsh had to get back. And anyway, and Brian May was great. The doctor I'm seeing now loves Brian May. Yeah. Brian May. So many things going on, but Vinny, are you ready to play something? You want us to do another number?
Sure, I can play something if you like.
Okay, then we'll do something after that.
Yeah. Go ahead, play something in the meantime. Then we'll do something. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. How about you know, Les? He played when his fingers were feeling good. He was really shredding away. So he has a little version of Lover that's a pretty much a shredder. So maybe I'll attempt to play that.
Good.
All right, here we go. Here's Les's arrangement of Lover. All right, I tried my best with that. That's a tricky one. Thank you. Now I'll slow it down a little bit. I'll play one that Les used to play a lot called "I Surrender, Dear." It's in the key of D minor. Is that okay with you guys? You weren't planning on playing that, were you?
No, go ahead.
Here we go. All right, that was "I Surrender, Dear." Well, Lou and Gary, you want to play another tune?
Sure. Yeah, what we're going to do is, you did Lover, and that was on a 78 record. If people remember 78 record, there was 78 RPM.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick. Then they had to wind up Victoria. And on the other side of Lover was Brazil. And we're going to do that for you now. Right, two ways, two different ways. And my guy, many other stories. And you know that Top Tuesdays about the collusion. We're mentioning that.
Oh,
We're gonna mention that one. Okay.
yeah, no, we'll leave that one.
I know we're gonna mention that. Happy birthday, Les. Anyway, I think we're getting close to the contest, isn't it? Or yes.
Or maybe Vinny wants to play another tune.
Vinny, you want to play something quickie?
Sure, I'll play a little quick condensed version of Les's Blue Skies, the arrangement that Les would play, because I loved all his fancy finger work on that one. So here we go. I'll play a shortened version of it. So, and just like the other one, he started it off slow and then played it fast, because some people like it that way.
Right, that was a good rendition. You go through the whole chart.
Yeah, I know. I didn't play the whole thing, just the special parts that I really enjoyed to keep it short. But that was one of my favorite arrangements of Les. You know, he had so many of them, of course, but I wish we could do more. But happy birthday, Les! I hope you're having a great day wherever you are up there.
All right,
We
we're
have
back.
about 5 minutes. Do you want to, Lou and Gary, you want to play us out?
You want to check it out?
That was great. Thank you, guys. I just want to explain, I understand we had some signaling problems, and I do apologize for that. I hope we didn't lose too much in the performance, but these things happen, and particularly when you're working in this kind of environment. Our thanks to Lou, Gary, and Vinny for a terrific afternoon of music and stories. I'd like to thank our technical director, Adam Nemeth of Ampifex. Also would like to thank Michael Bronstein and Sue Baker of the Les Paul Foundation, who've been incredibly supportive of our work here. Please remember to join us on Tuesday, June the 9th, which is Les's actual birthday, at 7 p.m. for a conversation with Gene Paul, Les's son. You'll need to register. It's a Zoom presentation, so you need to register via Zoom. So if you go to either the Les Paul and Marwar Facebook page or the Marwar Museum webpage, you'll see the advertisement for Gene Paul, and then there's a link that takes you to the Zoom registration. So, and I also like to, again, ask you if you would consider donating to the museum. We have donation buttons on the Les Paul Facebook page, the Mount Marwar Museum Facebook page. You'll see it with Les Paul at 105, a virtual celebration. And also that there's a donation button on the museum's homepage on the website. Again, thank you so much for a terrific afternoon. This was great. And for everyone else, have a good evening and stay safe. Good night.